And we are live. Hello, ladies. It's Anita here from Sequins and Sand. How are you doing? It's nice to have you here. I know for many of you, you'll be joining us on the recording. And if that is you, hello to you. I hope you are sitting back, not feeling too stressed about Christmas and what's coming up, the holidays that are upon us, and that you are making time for you and taking in what I hope will be a very helpful chat. Today, I'm joined by the amazing Fiona Redding. Hi, Fiona.
Hello, Anita. How are you?
I'm really, really well. Yeah, I'm really well. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really well, thank you. I'm good, just winding down for the end of the year and looking forward to Christmas and the holidays. And yeah, but I'm very good, thank you. Really well.
Excellent news. Yeah, I think, you just mentioned that magic word Christmas. That's the topic of today's conversation. I know every year this year rolls around and we have, plans. We've got plans to catch up with family and friends around the Christmas break, early, summer holidays, all of that. And there's the usual pressures that we have each year, or joys, happiness, but also some pressures, the financial pressure, the time pressure. I'm running out of time. It's that sprint to the line, right? Got to get 1,000,001 things done before I head off on my precious break. But we were talking and we got to thinking that this year, given the whole COVID experience, we've got those usual things to hurdle and jump over, but there might be a few more that are bubbling underneath that might rear their not so pleasant heads in this year more than others. What do you think about that, Fiona?
Well, I think, as we sort of mentioned before, I think the first thing we just need to do is just pause for a minute and just remember, like, what is Christmas about? Like, what does the spirit of Christmas mean? And let's just explore that for a second. So, like, for you, for me, the spirit of Christmas. I mean, whatever your beliefs are, if we look at what the story of Christmas is about, and what this time of year is for, it's about love and peace and joy and family and just connection. Like, ultimately, that's what this time is about. It's a celebration. And I think we often forget that when we get so caught up and hung up on the busyness and the go, and you feel like you're in the feel like you're on this treadmill. And I know here obviously in Melbourne, and I know we came out of our lockdowns, and it was like it went from 0 to 100 miles an hour in literally, it was the blink of an eye. And it's been quite interesting actually talking with people here about that, because it's not something that it wasn't before. Like, we've just stepped back into that sort of frenetic pace of life at this time of year, if that makes any sense. But this was normal for us. And now it's like we're looking at it going, whoa, this is quite intense and a little bit full on. And so I know a lot of people in Melbourne, I can't speak for the rest of the country, this time of year has a little bit of a different feel to it. I think there's a lot less pressure on to perform or to have things a certain way at Christmas time, because it could be shut down again. I mean, like, anything could happen. So there's less, I don't know, there seems to be a little bit less pressure around that, but that's not to say there isn't pressure around that. And I'm not sure that would be playing out in other parts of the country, because they haven't necessarily had the experience that we've had down here. But I think really it is, firstly and foremost, is really remembering what this time of year is about. I mean, what would you say this time of year is about for you, Anita?
Yeah, it's definitely about family and coming together. That's the most important thing. And I guess for us, it is for us, we get together with some family members just once a year, and this time of year. Last year we took a chance, because we go to New South Wales to do that. That's a bit of a family tradition, and we're in Queensland. Others come up from Victoria, others from other parts of New South Wales, and we gather there. Well, last year we took a gamble because borders were, on again, off again, shut and open. And this year they're a little bit more open, Queensland to New South Wales. But again, you hear the news this morning, and people who've come up on a flight have to isolate now for 14 days, as well, coming into Brisbane. So you go, what are we doing? So there's all of that intrepidation associated with it, I think, this year. again. But, you know, we are going to do what's required. And if we have to come home and self-isolate for a period of time, then we will do that. But it is so worth it in our minds to give our family members a big hug and be together. And for me, it's always been about presence, ENCE, more than presence, ENTS.
Yeah. Look,
You
I
know.
think that's a great point that you raise. And I mean, there's 2 points that really is one, yes, there is uncertainty, which we haven't had before. So there's actually a lot of planning going on in uncertainty. But, you know, I think there is an element of just kind of accepting that is as it is for the moment. But if we remove that from the equation and we actually look at what happens for people around this time of year, as we forget what it's about and we get so caught up in the freneticness and the go-go-go-ness of it, and the weight of expectation and pressure and stress that we feel around this time of year. I think there are some things that we can do to really make that time, make the time a little bit easier for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of those is focusing on what matters most. You know, I think through this whole COVID experience as well, you know, forcing our hand, giving us time to sit back and look inward as well, or take the opportunity to do that and really think about what matters most and ditching what doesn't, you know, and not getting upset if we don't hit the mark, or, you know, the expectations are high sometimes around this time of year. You know, different people do it differently, but, you know, do I need to get a new dress? Am I going to be looking okay? You know, are we spending enough money on presents? There's that financial pressure, you know, are they going to judge us to X, Y, Z, you know? And then it's coming together with people that you might not have seen in a while as well. So will I make the right impression? You know, all of those sorts of things. But when you boil it down, what matters most? Focus on that, I think. That's my 2 bobs worth.
Yeah, I think so. And look, there's so many layers of this as well. You know, like families are very complex, you know, relational systems, really, in a way. And then if you throw in alcohol and you throw in other stresses, and as you said, you know, like, you know, there's different family members who've got different expectations about certain things. And, you know, some families believe in Santa, some don't. Some want to do Kris Kringles, some want to do presents, you know, like there's different expectations. So it really is about communication, I think, there as well. But you, within yourself, being clear about what is important to you and what is of value to you, and having the courage to be able to have those conversations with people that you are spending that time with. But also too, I think really checking in with yourself, like if this is causing you stress, is it worth it? And like what do you need to do? There's, you know, 3 things that we can do. We can, you know, we can change it, we can accept it, or we can just stop it, you know, like, so we do have some agency in terms of how we're relating to things as well. But I think we also have a lot of expectations on ourselves and other people. You know, like I know people that got to get their hair done before they go to Christmas. There's often issues with, you know, the food, how the food's been organised. One family has to do all the food. But like, we just need to be communicating and not just doing things because that's the way they've always been done, or we don't want to upset people or hurt people's feelings, but actually just bringing it back to those core values. What is this time of year around? It's around love and peace and family and joy and thankfulness and appreciation and all of those things. And, you know, really appreciating the gift of life and the gift of being able to spend time together, all of those things. But then I think there is on the other side of that, you know, there's a lot of people this year who aren't able to see their families again for, you know, the 3rd year in a row. And even my kids, their grandparents in New Zealand, and they weren't able to see them last year, and they're coming out this weekend. But then there was a COVID scare at Tilly's creche on the weekend, and teachers at her centre have actually got COVID. Now, she could have had COVID, and that could have just wiped out their whole Christmas that's been planned. So I just think we just need to be, as you said so beautifully before, it's about presence. It's just about reminding ourselves and checking in, you know, like, is it necessary for me to go to the shops for the 15th time in 2 weeks? Do I really need to buy more stuff? Do I really need to do that thing? Do I really need to worry about that? Is there a way that we could make the catering easier on Christmas Day? Is there a way that we could simplify this? Is there a way that we could make this less stressful? Is it like, what can we do to just be a bit easier with this and bringing it back to the core values of what this time of year is about? We just, honestly, we forget them. We get so caught up in everything, and there's all the Christmas parties and the farewell drinks and the leaving things and the this and that and the other. There's no white space. There's just, it's busy, it's stressful, and people just go, I just want this time of year to be over. And if you look at people's calendars, December's manic. Then there's nothing in January because everything has to be done before Christmas. And
it's a psychological deadline too for business as well, which is the crock half the time as well. It's not like the world's going to stop if you don't get your business stuff done on or the work stuff done on that particular day. It's still going to be there in January. And what's the outfall from all that? It's usually not catastrophic, right?
No.
So why create that artificial pressure?
That's right. So does it have to be done before Christmas? Really ask yourself, does this have to be done before Christmas? And, then there's the issue around having to travel to different places on Christmas Day. And, like I know in the past, we do things, we just, like, even with my family, we're doing a Christmas this weekend because my kids are going to be away. We're actually just celebrating Christmas with my mum and dad and my Uncle Peter. My sister can't come. She's in Bright. We'll see her in January before the date. We're having a family Christmas celebration to celebrate Christmas before the date because it's not physically possible for us to catch up on Christmas Day. Like, there's ways we can do celebrating Christmas together without it all having to be jammed, smashed into one day.
Yeah. It's that coming together when you can.
To celebrate this time of year.
Yeah, that's right. And yes, there are absolutely the religious elements of all of this too. And, respectfully, we won't go into that for this conversation. This is more about, coming together. But there are those elements too. And I know that they're very important for some people watching. And that might be stressful if you can't be together to celebrate, the way you usually do from a religious point of view. But I agree with you. My family's exactly the same. On my side, it's more fractured this year because we've got different people doing different things for different reasons in different states and can't come together. So, there'll be multiple catch-ups, but acknowledging, I guess, that this is what it's for. It's for each other. And, we take time out to celebrate each other, I think, as well.
Yeah, and it's not about being perfect and everything. And, I think we also, too, with a lot of this stuff, we have a vision in our mind and we have an ideal in our mind of what we want things to be like. And the reality is you bring people into that mix. You bring, a bit of stress into that mix. You bring a little bit of alcohol into that mix. You bring all of these other, kids fighting. You bring, adults with their differences and, conflict or, debate. It doesn't always end out how we would like to, but every family is unique. There isn't a perfect family. That there just isn't a perfect. And I think as soon as we can accept that, really deeply accept that, is that these people are our people, and let's just make an effort to really get along. I think that's when that's when you can just relax and enjoy the day.
Yeah, I so agree with that. And I think too, to your point about we have this vision, we have these expectations of what we want it to be like. And in these more challenging times with a lot more unknowns, how can we be kind to ourselves, or how do we deal with it if they don't meet our vision, or if it doesn't meet our expectations? Do you have a plan? Do you think in advance? Well, okay, I don't necessarily see eye to eye with that person, and this year it might be more difficult. What can I do to make that easier? Do you try and play out some different scenarios in preparation before you get there? I know with the kids, right? You probably do this too, Fiona. We forewarn, to be forewarned is to be forearmed, and you can deal with things. So doing that for yourself like you do for others, setting those expectations in advance.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, Evie's just posted somewhere there. I live with 7 humans, and 3 of those little humans are going away. We have decided to do something simple on Christmas Day and wear our best pajamas all day. Can't wait. So that's wonderful.
Simple,
And,
beautiful.
I think even with that, we do need a plan, and sometimes that plan can be very, very simple plan. It's just like, okay, if this topic comes up, I'm just going to remove myself from the conversation. Or if this topic comes up, I'm just going to say respectfully, hey, maybe let's not talk about that today. If this topic comes up, or if this thing happens, or if my mother-in-law says this to me, this is how I'm going to respond this year. I'm not going to get upset because she says it every year. She doesn't mean it. She's stressed. She's not judging me. That's just the way she sees the world. Like, we can kind of prep ourselves for that. But I even know, as I said, my kids are going away, and I'm really a bit sad about that. Like, we have a very great relationship, with their stepmom and dad and I. But, obviously they've got family, their grandparents are coming over, haven't seen them for years. So they're actually going to be away for about 10 days, and they're going away for my daughter's birthday. They'll be away for Christmas, and they'll also be away for New Year's. And I've got a plan for how I'm going to manage that time, because I already know I'm going to be a little bit sad about that. Like, I'm spending some time with my mum and dad and my sister and my nephew. And I'm very happy for my kids that they're having that experience, because, if I bring it back to what is the spirit of Christmas about, it's about family and connection. And this is the other side of the family. And it's very important to me that they have a relationship with them. It's not about me. But I've actually, like, what do I need to do? What are my plans to make this time really fun and nice for me too, so that the kids don't worry about me for a start, but that I'm having a nice time and I'm not, stuck in missing them so much. So we do need a plan, but it needs to be a really loose, flat plan, and it's not regimented, and it's not dependent on somebody else doing something or saying something or being something for that plan to be executed. It's just, how do I want to show up during this time, and what does that mean for me in terms of the way my attitude and my approach to whatever it is that I'm doing. We really do get to choose, but I think we do need to be a little bit, particularly if these experiences can be quite stressful, or they have been quite challenging in the past. It's like, hey, what's my game plan this year? How do I step into the driver's seat of this, that I'm not going to get upset about things or feel stressed about things or feel like I have to behave or conform to a certain, what I believe might be an acceptable standard of behaviour, if that doesn't suit for me.
Yeah. That's a really good point. How do I step into the driver's seat and feel more like I've got this, or I'm aware of how I'm going to handle this if and when it arises? So what are some other things they can do, or what can they do more around that too, Fiona? You pointed out what you've been thinking about, and I think that's an excellent example to run with, your personal experience as well. So can we talk a little bit more about that game plan, the how-to, the coping stuff?
So I think let's break it into, pre-Christmas, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day. Let's just use that as a, four-stage plan. Okay, so what needs to happen before Christmas? And look at it and go, I've got to go this, and I've got to do this and this. And actually just really look at that and go, do I actually have to do all of that stuff?
Yeah, what can I cross off, or what goes to the bottom?
Yeah. Or is it this because that's an expectation that I have, or I think other people have, that I need to be conforming to? Like, does it really need to happen? Is there an easy way that I can do this? And, like, for example, my mum and dad get my kids money for Christmas because they don't know what to get them. And my kids have got everything. And it's like that, like, where are you creating drama or stress for yourself that doesn't need to be created? With my family, the adults in our family do not buy each other gifts. We haven't done it for years. So my kids will buy my grandparent, my kids buy people who give them a gift. Like, we organise that, so they get to participate in the sharing of gifts. The adults do not buy each other gifts. But you know what we do instead? We all contribute money to food, and we have this beautiful spread of food. And that is our contribution as a gift to each other, is towards the food. So that's what we've found works in our family. Like, each family is different, but it's like, thinking about what to get mum and dad, a present from me, a present from the kids, a present from this, like, nobody needs all this stuff. Like, we don't need all this stuff. We're just buying stuff because that's what we think we have to do. But we can be generous and giving in other ways. You know, we could, instead of, you know, giving people gifts that don't need them, you know, can I donate some money to a charity of your choice? Can we have an experience together? Can we do something together that is actually going to be far, far more enriching to our relationship than me giving you, us exchanging something that was actually quite, we had to really think about what to get that person. And I'm not dissing getting gifts by any way, shape, or form. That's what works in our family. So I think we all need to get clear about what works in families. You know, like if you've got 16 or 17 nephews and nieces to buy gifts for every year, like that's stressful. That's very stressful. And as a family, and it's expensive. And how do you know what these people want? And, you know, like, so we really, I think as families need to think, you know, like, what does this mean for us? What is meaningful for us as a family for this time of year?
And often making those memories
Yeah.
are the most precious things of all, you know, like Evie's example of wearing pajamas all day.
Yeah.
They're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. Do you remember that Christmas where we spent our whole day in our pajamas? Wasn't that awesome? You know,
but they won't remember what gifts they got that year.
No, they won't. No. And, you know, it'll be probably tossed or landfill or so, you know, or something a couple of years later.
So I think it really is just going, just because things have always been done like this, or we think that this is what is important, or, you know, Christmas is measured by the amount of gifts under the tree. Like, it's just not. And what is presence? Like, what is the presence, as you said before, NSE, that I can give to someone? My presence is what's important. And what does that actually look like? Yeah, Evie, they'll be fabulous. Yes, exactly, Evie. Exactly. And that, to me, like, that's fun. It's like, this is what we're really looking forward to at Christmas time, is hanging out together all day in our pajamas. Like, that's what this day is about. It's like, how do we translate that attitude to the day? And it's not this officious, you know, regimented, stressful day, which it can be for a lot of people. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people.
Yeah. So have a look at your expectations.
Yeah.
Have a look at your expectations. Look at your list. Prioritize and go, what can I forget that's stressing me out? What can I do? What do I need to hang on to? And as you say, communications, have those conversations before the day if you can. Don't leave it till on the day and then have all this nastiness go on afterwards. You know, before the day is good. Open conversation. Yeah. And on the day, what about the good old breathe and detach, or, you know?
Yep. And just, you know, centering yourself, just, you know, how do I want to be feeling? I want to be feeling peace and calm. I want to be feeling joy. I want to be feeling the feels of Christmas. What do I need to do? Put on some great Christmas music, you know, just really center myself, feel into the joy of Christmas and not get stuck in the busy and the busy and the busy. And the other thing is also, too, at this time of year, there's so many events going on. Like tomorrow night, we've got 3 things, Christmas parties. I can't go to all of them. And there was a big decision I had to make. As mental energy was spent on deciding which of these 3 things I was going to go to. And in the end, I thought, we could do 2. And I thought, I'm doing one. I have to choose one. Which one are we doing? And I chose one. And I was like, the old me might have said, right, we'll do this one and then this one. It's like, I'm doing one. I have to choose one. Which one is it going to be? And, you know, there was a process that I had to go through because I would have liked to go to all of them. Can't. Don't want to. Can't. It's not possible, and I'm not doing that anymore. So we can, you know, there does need to be an element of discernment with this as well, and decision making about, okay, you know, one thing a day or 2 things at most, or whatever, like whatever your barometer of manageable activity is, and just making that decision and just sending your apologies. I'm really sorry I can't go. Like, we can't go to everything.
No, it reminds me, Fiona, of a post that we did in Beyond the Shop, you know, the newsletter we send out on a Wednesday a couple of weeks ago. And Wendy from the Honey Pod talked about this in her concept. And it was a post that struck a chord with many of the women in our private Facebook group, which was Jomo, not FOMO. So the concept there, Jomo, is the joy of missing out, and FOMO is the fear of missing out, right? So flick the FOMO and let's bring in the Jomo, you know, and that goes to what you were saying. It's okay to say no and you know, give a respectful reason, But yeah, if you've thought it through and you've come to that conclusion, then respectfully, manage it. And if they're on your team, and if they get you and they respect you, then they will take that on board and they will do the same. And if they're not, you know what? I might be rethinking that relationship.
Yeah, that's right. And it is really about saying, because I do want to go to all these things, but I also know that when I do that, I get really stressed. And then I get tired, and then I get snappy with my kids, and it doesn't work. So it's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to live like that anymore. And that's okay. But that same thing, as I said before, applies to Christmas Day. People want to see you on Christmas Day. It's Christmas Day. We've got to catch up on Christmas Day. But it's like, it's really difficult. We're going to spend 4 hours in the car. Is that what I want to be doing on Christmas Day? Can we not catch up on Boxing Day or on Christmas Eve or the weekend before? And then next year we do it differently. Like, how can we reimagine this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love all that. And I hope the girls who are listening today, be it today or whenever they get to listen to it, because, it's a busy time of year, I hope there's been some gems in there. Let us know in the discussion what you found most helpful. I know I certainly did. I love that whole notion of thinking things through a little bit beforehand, having a bit of a game plan in your own mind, and then seeing, how you can handle things on the spot. And you know what? Walking out of the room and breathing. I'm going to practice that a little bit more too.
You could just politely just remove yourself from the situation, and you don't need to go and talk to other people in the other room about what that person is doing in that room. Like, it's not about that. That kind of behavior is terribly toxic. It's toxic and unhealthy. And if you are involved in those conversations, you are 100% toxic in that toxic environment. So we all need to be removing ourselves from that. And if we've got a problem with someone, we walk away or we say it to their face, but we don't go and talk about them behind their back, because that just creates undercurrents of yuckiness at these events.
Absolutely.
And which are not about the Christmas spirit.
No, that's right. Not the Christmas spirit. Absolutely. Nor the spirit for any other day, I might add. Christmas is a point in time where we elevate all of this, but really, wouldn't it be wonderful if that's how we lived each and every day?
Yeah. And I think that is the point, is that this is a day for us to really live that. Whatever our beliefs are, is to really live that on the day and just appreciate loving kindness and compassion and acceptance and all of those things. None of us is perfect.
No. And we have to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Fiona. Thank you for all those who tuned in. And from us here, from me at Sequins and Sandland and everything we do, wishing you a very happy Christmas. I hope it brings much joy and less stress, and that you get back to doing what you love with those who love you back. Thank you so much, Fiona, for joining us yet again today. Thank you for all that you have done for this community. And I hope you have a wonderful time as well over the Christmas break.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. And Merry Christmas to you and to everybody watching as well in your community. Thanks, Anita.
Thanks, Fiona. Bye, girls.
See you. Bye.